All right, just wrapping up the game against Appalachian State. And again, what a great college football game. I thought both teams played extremely hard, you know, and that was just one of those games that came down to one play. And fortunately, we made it. But back and forth, physical. You know, I thought our kids played their hearts out, and I thought Apps did too. It was just a great college football game. But like any game, win or lose, you go back and look at the film, and there were a lot of mistakes and a lot of corrections we have to make as we get into ACC play. And you know, I thought defensively the thing that stuck out is just we tackled really poorly. You know, guys for us that are usually good tacklers did not tackle well, and that allowed some breakout runs. Offensively, we dropped 4 very catchable balls that are just reliable, dependable guys that usually catch those, make those plays, and we didn't make them. And you know, really, our special teams saved the day. You know, you have the first extra point block, and it's nice that it happens, and you don't think that much of it, but that 1 point is the difference of whether it's 2020 or 2019, and whether it's going to overtime or not. And then Scotty Washington's effort on the last play was a great effort. I thought we putted the ball well. I think Mike Weaver hit every kick, and he kicked off much better. And that was a game that they outgained us. You know, I thought on the scrimmage plays, they probably outplayed us. But we made some really big critical plays in special teams that really turned out to be the difference in the game. And it's neat to see that happen, that you know, in a game that you're on the road in a hostile environment and you don't play your best and you still figure out a way to win. And a lot of that just had to do with how well we played on special teams. So moving forward, we have Florida State coming to town. And to paraphrase, I believe it's Mark Twain, reports of their demise have been greatly exaggerated. This is still one of the very best teams, programs. They're such a good program, and you know, nobody on our roster has ever beaten Florida State. You know, they've played 2 really good football teams. You know, the Alabama game was basically a 3-point game until late in the 3rd quarter, and they had a punt blocked, mishandled a kickoff, and then threw a pick, and that game switched quickly. But they're play for play, scrimmage play for scrimmage play right with Alabama into the 4th quarter. And then I think NC State is a really good football team, and that was a heck of a game too. So again, I have great respect for Coach Fisher, his program. This is one of the premier football programs in the country. I think they're the only school that's been, I believe it's 5 or 6 consecutive New Year's Day college football, you know, the Big 6 bowl games. On defense, they're excellent. We have never moved the ball on them consistently. You know, their safety, Derwin James, is back, number 3. He might be the best safety in the country. He just is everywhere. He's a safety, plays man coverage, he plays nickel, they'll blitz him, they'll play him at linebacker. He's just all over the field. His ability to close space. You watch plays against them and you think teams have yardage, and their ability to close the space and pursue the football is different. Their corner, McFadden, was the Tatum Award winner a year ago. Their defensive line is excellent. You know, the Sweat kid beat us on a few pass rush moves. The Burns kid, who plays end for them, had a punt block against NC State. NC State's operation was under 2 seconds. And this kid came from off the edge and blocked the punt one-handed that really almost put him back in the game. Just an incredible play. And, you know, the nose guard, Noddy, has just given us fits every year. I mean, he's just a load. He's physical. He's athletic. This is one of the best defenses that we'll play. And it is every year, and this year is no different. They are older on defense. You know, they start 8 juniors and seniors. And they're just at every position, they've got great players. Offensively, you know, we have a hard time ever getting a 6'4", 6'5" receiver there. I don't know if you can play outside receiver there if you're not 6'4", because you look at it just from, you know, Tate and Marshall and all the guys they have, they're all 6'3", 6'4", 215, 225 pounds. They're long, they're athletic, they have incredible ball skills. They're really good at the slot receiver as well. They're really, really good. I mean, you go Gavin, Murray, all these guys are just excellent, excellent football players. And they recruit every year 4- and 5-star guys that can go anywhere in the country. And they all get on the field collectively, and it's pick your poison. You know, both their running backs are really good players. You know, you have one guy that's 235 pounds that can just pound you. And, you know, Patrick, and then Akers is fast. There was a play against NC State. They had a counter play, and it bounced. And NC State is good, and this kid just outran everybody to the sidelines. Their tight end, Izzo, is one of the best pass-catching tight ends that will defend this year. Their O-line averages 315 pounds. They're always big. They're always physical. They knock people off the ball. And the quarterback, Blackman, it's going to be his second start, but he certainly showed in one game that he can make every throw. He's tall. He's got a live arm. He threw some comeback routes that were just beautiful, that he threw them on the run and he put them on a line. And, I mean, it's Florida State. I don't know what else you have to say. They are well coached. Jimbo is one of the best offensive strategists in all of college football. Their defensive coordinator, Kelly's done a great job. They're just a really good football program. And, you know, they've probably had the hardest schedule in the country up to this point. So this will be a great challenge at home. We hope our students will come out and support us. We hope the local community will come out and support us. I think our kids have played well, and we'd love to have a home field advantage. So, you know, be loud when they're on offense on third downs, and be quiet when we have it on third downs. All right, fire away.
Dave, is it weird to be going into a game that's on the last day in September and only have 2 games of film to look at for Florida State?
I think it would be weirder or more difficult if they didn't have such stability in their staff. You know, Coach Fisher is the quarterback coach, the offensive coordinator. He calls all the plays. It's an offensive system. He's been running there since he's been there. You know, Coach Trickett, the offensive line coach, Coach Sanders, the quarterback coach. They've had real stability on their staff, and on defense, it's the same way. They have basically defended us the same way the last 2 years. And that's very smart. They defend us in a very smart way. They're, you know, up and pressing us and trying to get us to hold in the football and trying to sack us before we can get open.
Do you feel your offensive unit is better equipped this year to handle that type of a defensive scheme?
You know, Les, we're better. We're better up front. We're playing well at quarterback. We're better on the perimeter. This is Florida State. You know, there's a lot of schematic things that you can have against what they do that get canceled out because of who they do it with. You know, so there's certain things that if a defense is lined up in a certain way, that's where the ball should go, and that should be a favorable matchup. But because of their personnel and how quick they are and how well they cover, you got to win matchups against these guys. So that is the challenge. Are we good enough to win those matchups? And quite frankly, the last 2 or 3 years we haven't been. Now I think we're better. This game will be a great test to that.
Coach Fisher described last week against NC State that both offensively and defensively they were slow to start. So what do you think the best way will be for you to go after them early?
I mean, you know, they were slow to start, but a lot of it has to do with who your opponent is. I mean, I think NC State is one of the very best teams in the ACC this year. I mean, NC State, their defensive line is loaded. They start 4 seniors that are all draftable prospects. NC State is going to force a lot of people to start slow. So I'm sure they felt they started slow. A lot of it has to do with the quality of your opponent. You know, so we just got to go out there and we got to play and we've got to execute, and we've got to execute at a better level than we did last weekend.
Speaking of defensive lines, your defensive line continued to make plays. The sacks category was a 0. The depth there has built over, I guess, 3 years, 4 years. What's been the growth at that position?
I mean, just what you said. I mean, you answered the question. It's taken 3 or 4 years, but I mean, we were never in a position that a talent like Boogie Basham could be our third, or a guy like Chris Calhoun could be the first guy off the bench. I mean, you know, at end we go 4 deep with 4 good players. Obviously, Duke is Duke. Wendell is playing really well, and Boogie and Chris are both players on the rise. And then you got inside Zeke and Willie are playing well, and Alante Bateman is really coming on for us and playing well. So it's nice to have depth at that position. That's a very, very hard position to develop and have depth at, both line positions.
What makes it hard to develop depth there?
Just everybody wants those guys. I mean, it's, you know, you look at the NFL and, I mean, a great 3 technique or a great pass rushing defensive end, those guys get pretty good contracts. And that's a very unique skill set. When you're that big, that heavy, and that athletic, there's not a lot of those guys. And, you know, we don't get a lot of ready-made guys there. You know, so like a lot of things in our program, it's a slower process. It's more developmental in nature. We've been fortunate to recruit guys that love football. You know, Willie Yarberry didn't come here as a ready-made player. Alante Bateman didn't come here as a ready-made player. Chris Calhoun, all those guys have worked hard, developed, they love football, and because of their work ethic and because of the work of Coach Cohen and the work of Coach Horrigan, those guys have developed into really, really good ACC defensive linemen. But we're not going to recruit guys in year 1, bang. I mean, even at that position, even the Clemsons and the Florida States have a hard time. You know, the Clemson got the Lawrence kid who might be a ready-made guy, who certainly was a great player as a true freshman. Florida State has the Sweat kid, who was the, I believe, top prospect in the country when he came out. You know, we don't get those guys. We got to get guys that we need to develop, and fortunately, we have recruited well there, and our players have developed. That's an ongoing process. That's why even this year, Tyler Williams and Michael Allen, we redshirt them, we're putting weight on them, we're getting them stronger. And next year, they'll hopefully have roles. Maybe not starting roles, but they'll have roles. And then by year 3, they're good players. And when you look at our defensive line, you know, it's all guys, it's 3rd, 4th year.
Coach, last couple of years, you've had some close encounters with some of the elite in this division. How important will it be for the program and for you and your staff and for this team to kind of break through and grab a win against a team of the stature of Florida State or Clemson? Yeah, I mean, it would be, you know, the past 3 years, we've been, I think, competitive in this game 2 of the 3 years, but we haven't beat them. And you can say that Clemson, we were only probably competitive 1 year. Against Louisville, we were competitive all 3 years. But we haven't won them. And that is something, we're better. But if you're going to play in the ACC Atlantic, right there now, those teams are ahead of us. And to get where we want to get, you have to beat them. And we haven't done it yet. So anytime we play these games, I think they're great opportunities for us to show that we've truly moved the program forward. But they're good teams. They've got good players. They're well coached. These wins are never going to come easy. And so we've got to have a great week of practice, a great week of preparation, and then we have to go out and execute and play at a high level for 60 minutes on Saturday. That's what you have to do to beat a team like this.
Coach, do you think a close game like Appalachian State, after having 3 games where you win comfortably, kind of prepares you a little bit more for a game like Florida State, at least for the players?
I don't know if it prepares you for Florida State specifically, but we weren't going to have a lot of games like the first 3. Now, and again, I always think it's, you you have games like the first three, and there's a tendency for people to knock down the competition, and then BC is 7-7 in the fourth quarter with Clemson, and Utah State goes on the next week and wins a game 58-10. We played really, really well those first 3 weeks. We played at a high level. We executed at a high level. We did not play, I don't feel, at that same level last Saturday. Certainly App had a lot to do with it, and they played well and they executed. But what you pull out of that game is we had to play a 60-minute game. We had to come from behind in the fourth quarter on the road in a hostile environment, and we found a way to get it done. And I think the lesson from that game is, it's not always going to go well. Things on offense might always click. You may give up a few plays on defense, but just keep playing, keep playing, keep playing. If you do that, good things will happen if you give yourself a chance to win the game. And that's what happened on Saturday. Did not play our best game, but our kids played hard. They're resilient. Anytime that game had a chance of getting away from us, whatever we had to have happen, happened. If we needed the defense to get a stop, they got a stop. If the offense had to have a drive, they got a drive. It just seems whenever that game was on the verge of becoming a 2-score game and getting away from us, we responded. And that was the most encouraging thing about that game is we got punched in the mouth. We didn't play well the first 30 minutes, but we found a way in the second half. And there's a lot of value in that happening.
Is there value, to his point, in facing adversity for the first time this season, coming before facing Florida State, for instance, when you might not be able to dig your way out of it?
Since we won, I'm going to say yes. If they had kicked the ball 6 inches higher, I may have a different read on it, and that's the game. It's a game of inches. So, yes, I think it's good that we went through a game like that before we play a bunch of teams here that if we win these games, it's going to go down to the last play in the last minute. So it's good that we got that. And it's good that our players they got stretched. They got pushed for 60 minutes.
Scotty had a couple other big plays in the receiving game before the biggest one.
He did. That was really, really encouraging. And for the guys that have watched practice here in the camp, when we allow them to watch practice, I think we've all been waiting for that to happen. And I think I'm hoping that a game like that maybe gives him that little boost of confidence, and not just the block kick, but he had 4 big catches. I mean, the catch he had coming out on the 3-yard line was as big a play as there was in the game. They've got a 6-point lead. You start the second half with the ball on the 3-yard line, and you put together a 97-yard drive. And the key play was that first play to Scotty, the deep slant that got us to midfield. And it was just good to see him catch it, tuck it, split the safeties. And, hopefully this is a springboard. But like I said, when you go against the Derwin James of the world and people like that, it's, there's no, here on in, there's no easy sledding.
I'm sure it's something you folks have looked at statistically and figured out what the best way of doing this is, but is it hard to get Greg Dortch to not bring the ball out of the end zone when it's just 1 yard deep on a kickoff? Well,
we have, there is a statistical deal. I think it's close to 80% of kickoffs that get kicked to the end zone that get taken out don't get back to the 25. So our rule of thumb with him is if it's right over the goal line and close, we give him the freedom to take it out. If there's ever 2 or more yards, we're going to just take the ball at the 25.
Is it one of those things that he's actually reading the coverage and where?
Nope. No. A part of it might be, if it's a line drive kick and he's 2 yards deep, you give him a little bit of freedom on those ones. But if it's a normal high kick, if he is at or near the goal line, we'll take it. If he's leaning back and it's all in the paint, we'll take the ball at the 25. And again, that's just the statistics on it are most teams that take the ball out of the end zone don't get it to the 25. And I think it's overwhelmingly, I believe it's in the high 70s or low 80s.
Phil Haynes' health, feeling better?
Practiced a little bit today. He was out there. He was fully dressed. He did some individual. And it's It's like all of us. We're all day to day, right?
Along that note, it's probably the most stable I can remember a depth chart being through 5 games.
Are you trying to jinx this thing, Les?
Do you,
You had to say it, didn't you?
do you attribute that just to being fortunate from a health perspective?
I mean, I think we're older, we're stronger. I think our kids know how to take care of their bodies better. I think we did not get as banged up in camp this year because, like I've said many times, I think the NCAA really made a good move with the day off. I don't think our kids feel as beat up, and a lot of it is luck, Les. It really is. It's just clean living.
I don't believe in jinxes. Hopefully you don't either.
Just spend time with Stan Cotton, good things happen.